I've always been the kind of person who thinks no means find another way. Like when I was 19 and I really wanted to go to the School of Visual Arts, it took me 2 years, but I got in at the age where most people graduate. I decided to become a performer when I was 35, the age where most people give it up.
I never intended to be a writer. All my life, when I was little, I wanted to be an artist. My family, they're what I like to call Mayflower Puerto Ricans. They grew up in Spanish Harlem and they found each other, and I grew up, they had me, and I grew up in the Bronx. I grew up in an Italian neighborhood where my dad used to tell people that we came from the Italian part of Puerto Rico. It was kind of weird because I would get I was like a double outsider, you know? I was not Spanish enough for my family, and I was an outsider at school because of the way I look, and then the way I dealt with it was by drawing. I drew all the time. I drew when I was happy, I drew when I was sad, when I was frustrated, when I was angry. It was just my escape and my pleasure and my release. And the thing that kept me going when I was a teenager, there were these posters in the subway. And one of them was this Pagliacci type clown that had his hands over his chest like this. And the caption underneath said, "To be good is not enough when you dream of being great." I went to New York City Community College for a year, and finally I got into the School of Visual Arts, which was the place I wanted to go to all along. I thought that there was this huge and amazing future for me, and I got a prestigious job right away as an assistant art director at this big famous advertising agency. And after 6 months, I realized that I had made the biggest friggin' mistake of my entire life. I hated my job. I didn't want to make mattresses look pretty. I didn't want to draw something and have somebody say, well, put it over there. I guess I just became so disillusioned with that job that they told me that I could go someplace else to work if I wanted to. Unemployment. Now I'm at a point, what am I going to do now? When I was at the community college, I was in Theater Works USA. And I was cast in the production of Guys and Dolls, and it was fantastic. I was good at it. So I decided I would try to be an actor again. So I took acting classes, and I started getting little parts in little independent films. One of those independent films became Living in Oblivion, which is like the quintessential independent film about making independent films.
Room tone? What's room tone?
Just have to be quiet, Mom.
Shut up!
It's for the sound
The sooner we do this, the sooner it's finished with, okay?
I met a friend who told me about this performance space on the Lower East Side that basically kind of changed my life. It was called Surf Reality, and this was in the mid-90s. And there was this whole scene going on. It was like the alternative comedy performance scene. And it was an amazing place because you were allowed to fail. You could just find out, put on as many different hats, so to speak, until you either got good at what you were doing or you just gave up and left. And it was where I found my first voice as a performer. I became this performance artist. I was Carmen Mofongo.
Hello, I am Carmen Mofongo, and I am here in behalf of Toxic Pop. I am at the AS Art Store Scene Magazine benefit here at the beautiful Bowery Poetry Club. This is Bilge Batten, from the lead singer from the band Haunted Pussy, and for you people who are Latino in the audience, that would be Toto Embrujado.
Carmen Mofongo was for about at least 10 years, maybe 11, the Lower East Side's one and only Latin lady with stalk on her head. I was influenced by Carmen Miranda, the 1940s movie star, and I was just struck by the fact that Carmen Miranda was Portuguese. Her family emigrated to Brazil when she was a child. So the idea, growing up a double outsider like I did, between my family's culture and, your neighborhood culture, the idea that somebody could be the embodiment and the symbol of an entire culture without having been born in it, that fascinated me. And I started thinking, what if What if there was a reincarnation of Carmen Miranda, but for our generation, and she came back as a Puerto Rican from the Bronx? Me! And my ex-husband and I, we just created this whole persona. He made the hats, and we had plays, we had variety shows, I hosted burlesque shows. We were this theatrical team for years, and it was great. But then, you know, everything evolves in life, right? And that whole Lower East Side performance scene became an actual scene. You know, it got commercial. Yeah, but that's life, right? At that point, when the Lower East Side was dwindling and all the spaces were closing, I had discovered storytelling and the MOTH. People were telling these incredible personal stories.
I was 15, and it was the Tuesday before Christmas. And as usual, I went straight home from school, went in my room, closed
and that was very important to me at that time to be there, because at this point I was starting to explore becoming a solo performer. And after 10 years of being Carmen Mofongo and being somebody else, I was not able to be myself on stage. And going to the MOTH and going to the Story Slams helped me do that. It really helped me find my own voice and be Michelle on stage, as opposed to, which is nothing wrong with, but you know, at a certain point, you got to evolve, right? So that was the next evolution for me, was as a storyteller. You know, one day I was like, well, what are you going to do with your life, Michelle? You know, so I wrote a book. That's the dream of so many people, to get a book published, and I got that, so that's fantastic, right? But, you know, the reality is you have to make your own opportunity. You can't sit and wait for someone to recognize you. You have to make your own stuff. So I'm taking Fish Out of Agua to the next, to me, logical transition, adapting it into an hour-long theatrical show. You can say it's like almost like I've come full circle. I went from the stage to the page, and now I'm going back to the stage.
Most people leave their hometowns and come to New York because they feel like it's the only place that they can go in order to pursue their dreams. What happens when you're already from New York City? Where do you go to pursue yours?
I'm really excited about it because I feel like, once again, I feel like, wow, anything is possible. And, you know, you asked me what it was like to be a working artist, and I was like, well, I don't know about a working artist, but I can tell you what it's like to be a practicing artist, because I am going to keep practicing until I get it right. You know, I just want to create something and leave something behind me that says, yeah, Michele Carlo was here. You know, kind of like when a cat marks its territory and you know the cat was there, but hopefully what I leave behind, unlike the cat, won't stink. All I can say is, yeah. At this point, I've suffered for my art long enough. Now it's your turn.